G'day, Shah here once again with Four Wheels on the Road, helping you get the most out of your time away. Last time on our mechanical journey, we took a look at rotating our tyres, which is something I did not know about. And today we're going to take a look at something that I don't do very often and I probably really should do, just as a general maintenance thing, just to keep the vehicle up to spec. And that is taking a look at the oil levels. I think it's something we should all do, and I think a lot of us don't actually do it as much as we really should. So let's go take a look. There's a few bits of information that I actually came across when, taking a look at how to check the oil on a Prado. And it was actually quite surprising because there's a few more things to take into consideration than I'd actually thought previously, needed to be looked at. I guess the first real thing you need to think about though, in the beginning, is realizing that new engines like this actually should not use a lot of oil or lose a lot of oil at all. So if you are losing oil when you check your oil, it's probably a fairly likely indicator that you've got a problem. So take it to your mechanic and get it checked out for that reason. The second thing is that a Prado, for example, holds about 7 litres of oil. So if you are going to be monitoring your oil levels and adding oil to your own engine, if you wanted to do that, know how much oil your engine itself actually houses. So in all my investigations and looking up, how to do this seemingly simple activity, it's actually a little bit more complicated than I thought it was. Well, not really necessarily complicated, but there's a few things that you need to take into consideration. So a couple of things that I was really unaware of, and they're not necessarily that complicated, it's just sort of common sense stuff, but it's not really commonplace knowledge. The first thing is that you need to check your oil on a level surface. So make sure that you're on a flat surface when you're doing it, because your sump is a big long container that's at the bottom of your engine, and the dipstick's usually sitting at sort of a little bit towards the front or the back, depending on your engine. And if you're on an angle, the oil that's in the bottom of the sump may be measuring a little bit lower or a little bit higher, depending on where you're at. Something that's common sense, but not actually common knowledge. I really didn't actually think about it myself. The second thing is the temperature of the oil when you're actually going to be checking it. You should take a look at your oil when your vehicle is warm. Because I'm unaware of how engines actually work, and that's, as I said in the beginning of this journey with me trying to learn mechanically, and as I believe some of you may be out there as well, I was unaware of this. The oil that's in the sump in your engine actually gets circulated around the engine when the engine's running. So when you've taken your car for a drive, the oil actually sits up the top of the engine or in the middle of the engine. It's not actually all sitting in the sump down the bottom. So maybe if you've taken your vehicle for a drive for 5-10 minutes, something like that, leave the vehicle sit for about 5 minutes so that all the oil that's been circulated around the engine actually flows down to the bottom. The general rule of thumb is take it for a drive it for about 5 or 10 minutes, then let it sit for 5 minutes, then you check your oil levels then. So that will actually give you a good indicator of how much oil you actually have in the engine. So a bit of really relevant information that I was unaware of. Next of the things that we really need to think about is where your dipstick actually is in the engine. And sometimes it's blatantly obvious, like it is here on the Prado. It's on the left-hand side and there's a big yellow ring around it, but different engines are different. Hiluxes are on the right hand side, I believe, and some older Hiluxes might even have the dipsticks down lower. I remember from when I was a kid, looking at older engines then, the dipsticks were right down the bottom, closer to the sump. So take a quick look at your manual and check that out anyway. So now that we've had the car sitting here for about 5 minutes, what we're going to do is just take the dipstick out. So the first thing that you'll notice here is that there was no oil along the shaft of the thing here, so the engine oil has had enough time to sink down to the bottom of the sump, which is what we're after. You'll notice yourself if you check and test on your own vehicle, you'll see that if you pull the dipstick out when the engine's hot, there'll be oil a fair way up the dipstick here. So what you'll see with a lot of dipsticks in a lot of vehicles is that they've got a high and a low level. And you'll see here with the one that I have, I've got a high level and a low level. And where my oil level is currently sitting right now, get a close up there, is right on the high level, which is exactly where we want it. So mission accomplished. So that made what was possibly a difficult thing a little bit easier, just because I knew what the temperature should be of the engine to check the oil on, and I would have got a different reading if I was on a different surface. So because I've done a few things like check the surface that I'm on is flat, check that the engine had cooled down sufficiently for the oil to go down to the bottom of the sump, just a few things like that, and a few little bits of information like that are really handy to know. Alright, well I hope the couple of tips we've given you there have been of use for you, just to give you something to think about when checking your oil levels on your vehicle yourself, so you can do it properly. Don't forget, if you're getting some value from this video and my channel, to like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly share the channel. I really do appreciate it. And we'll see you next time we get four wheels on the road.